Yu-Gi-Oh! First Series, Episode 008. Published by Yu-Gi-Oh! Wiki, Fandom. Yugi Muto is kidnapped by Seto Kaiba and forced to duel the first of his 4 game masters, Count Ridley Sheldon. Both players start with 2,000 life points. Yugi's turn. Yugi summons Rock Gun, 150ths, in the wasteland, increasing its ATK by 50%, Rock Gun, 100,150. Nurse Puppet's turn. Nurse Puppet summons Ghost, 150/50ths, and attacks Rock Gun, destroying both. Yugi's turn. Yugi's turn is not shown. Nurse Puppet's turn. Nurse Puppet draws and summons Chimera, 800/150ths, in the forest. Yugi's turn. Yugi summons Dark Mammoth, 600/300ths, in the forest, increasing its ATK by 50%, Dark Mammoth, 600 and 900/300ths. Dark Mammoth attacks Chimera. Nurse Puppet's turn. Chimera can turn the forest into wasteland, increasing Chimera's ATK by 50%, Chimera, 800 and 1,200/150ths, Dark Mammoth, 900 and 600/300ths. Dark Mammoth is destroyed instead. Yugi, 2,000 life points, but should be 1,400. Yugi's turn. Yugi summons Dark Dragon, 1,500/600ths. Nurse Puppet's turn. Nurse Puppet summons Zombie, 800/500ths, in defense position. Several turns pass. Some scenes of both players losing life points are shown. Yugi, 1,015,950, 800 life points. Nurse Puppet, 2,001 life points. Nurse Puppet's turn. Nurse Puppet summons Aphrodite, 300/500ths, in attack position. Yugi's turn. Yugi summons Black Scorpion, 800/450ths, and attacks Aphrodite, but Nurse Puppet combos Aphrodite with Tsunami, destroying Black Scorpion. In the real card game you can't activate normal spells during your opponent's turn. However, Tsunami is implied to be already on the field before this turn. Nurse Puppet wins and takes Neon Knight as her prize. Ridley's turn. Ridley summons Neon Knight, 1,800/1,200, in the mountain in attack position. Yugi's turn. Yugi summons Devil Dragon, 1,500/800ths, in the wasteland in defense position. Ridley's turn. Neon Knight attacks and destroys Devil Dragon. Yugi's turn. Yugi summons Death Wolf, 1,200/1,200, in the forest in attack position and Shadowman. Ridley's turn. Ridley summons King Beetle, 1,400/1,000, and attacks Death Wolf, but Shadowman turns the entire field into darkness, which increases Death Wolf's ATK, by how much is unknown, but it is enough to destroy Neon Knight. Since Death Wolf's ATK is higher, Neon Knight is destroyed. Yugi's turn. Death Wolf attacks and destroys King Beetle. Ridley's turn. Ridley summons Gargoyle, 1,500ths, in the mountain. Yugi's turn. Yugi summons Night Soldier. Yugi attacks Gargoyle with Night Soldier, thinking Night Soldier will destroy Gargoyle. However, Gargoyle's durability is raised by Sheldon's Doll Field, and Night Soldier is destroyed instead. Yugi then activates an unnamed card, increasing Death Wolf's defense. Ridley's turn. Ridley summons Salamandra, 1,900ths, to attack Death Wolf, but Yugi has Death Wolf respond with a non-physical Howl attack. Salamandra and Gargoyle are destroyed by Death Wolf's Howl instead. Yugi wins. Yu-Gi-Oh! First Series, Episode 009. Published by Yu-Gi-Oh! Wiki. Yu-Gi-Oh! First Series, Episode 009. Published by Yu-Gi-Oh! Wiki, Fandom. A man in a suit is running by an alley chased by a gang. The gang then attacks him with yo-yos. Janochi is showing off his new yo-yo and proceeds to do some tricks. When Anzu is not impressed with his sleeper and Walk the Dog, Janochi performs an out-of-control loop-to-loop. Honda comes in and tells Janochi not to play with toys in school, and Janochi responds by calling Honda an old man. Miho then says she wants to play too, and Honda says that it's too dangerous. Anzu then tells everyone about a gang who attacks people with yo-yos and takes their money. The gang has been attacking students at school, and Yugi says that yo-yos aren't weapons. Janochi says that he will punish the gang for what they've done. Janochi is absent from school and the gang remarks about how good Janochi's health is. Yugi wonders what happened with the gang yesterday. Him and the gang go to Janochi's house after school to see what's going on, but it appears no one is at home. Miho opens the door, and a drunk man throws a bottle at them. Honda says that the drunkard was actually Janochi's father, which is why Janochi doesn't invite his friends to his house. Honda asks where Janochi could actually be. Yugi and his friends looks around town for Janochi and can't find him anywhere. They see the Yo-Yo gang stealing someone's money and are surprised to see Janochi with them. Honda also see Hirutani, a guy Janochi hung out with in middle school. Hirutani tells Janochi he should have came to Rhinotama instead of Domino High School. Yugi tells Joey to come back and a gang member sick of Yugi punches Yugi hard in the face. Everyone is worried about Yugi and Yugi tells Janochi once again to come back. After Yugi heals a little, Honda tells them about Hirutani and what he and Janochi did in middle school. Yugi remarks that he has Janochi as a friend because of the Millennium Puzzle. He remembers the first day he and Janochi became friends and what happened that day. Yugi thinks that Janochi hasn't changed, but Honda says that Janochi is an idiot and that he's done with Janochi. Another gang comes to fight with Rintama's gang. Janochi says that a fight should be only with fists. Hirutani's gang abandons Janochi and Yugi's friends and him who are secretly watching wonder whether to help. Honda later comes up and tells them about a tournament he and Janochi were in. They were in last, but Honda's quick running and Janochi's skill paid off. They got first place and became friends. The band Honda was wearing then was a mark of their friendship. Honda says he will use it to make Janochi open his eyes. Janochi then beats up every member of the other gang and Hirutani says Janochi's skills haven't gotten any worse. Yugi and friends go to Jay's where the storekeeper tells them about Rintama's warehouse base and how a Domino student was tricked into joining their gang. Yugi and friends all know it is Janochi, and that it wasn't his fault that he joined the gang. Yugi and friends meet up with the Rintama gang at their warehouse where Yugi tells Janochi he was tricked into joining the gang. Janochi tells Yugi that he joined the gang to do what he wants without any rules, all of his own free will. Honda shows him the band which Janochi steps on and punches Honda. The gang tells Hirutani no gang is left to challenge them. Hirutani thinks about where to attack next when Honda appears and challenges him. Honda says if he wins Hirutani must leave Joey alone. Hirutani uses a spiked yo-yo and Honda quickly grabs a broom to fight. The yo-yo cuts Honda's broom and Hirutani knees him in the stomach. Just before Hirutani unleashes his final blow, Yugi steps in and deflects the yo-yo with the Millennium Puzzle. The yo-yo then cuts Hirutani's face. The Rintama gang tie Yugi up and start throwing fists at him. Out of nowhere, Janochi breaks down a wall and runs into the room. He says he will finish it and throws his yo-yo at a gang member. Janochi reveals he made a deal to join the gang if his friends were left alone and that Hirutani broke the deal by attacking Yugi. The Rintama gang surround Janochi with yo-yos so that he cannot move. Janochi charges forward and deflects Hirutani's thrown yo-yo with his own and cuts Yugi free. A Rintama member then clobbers Janochi from behind and he falls to the ground. The puzzle activates and Dark Yugi comes out. The Rintama gang finds Dark Yugi on the roof where he spins a yo-yo extremely fast and says, "It's game time." Janochi corners Hirutani and tells him that he will finish things with him now. Dark Yugi explains the simple rule, last one standing wins. Dark Yugi fights the gang at the same time Janochi fights Hirutani. The minions cannot hit Dark Yugi and Janochi wounds Hirutani in the face. Hirutani throws glass at Janochi and Janochi can't see. The gang seems to corner Dark Yugi at the end of the roof, but Dark Yugi says that he's put holes in the ground. He wonders how long the roof can hold the minions' weight and that yo-yos are not weapons. They fall through the floor and at the same time, Janochi knocks Hirutani off the railing. He uses a zip line that Honda made with the band to get away. Hirutani is holding on, but Janochi uses a walk the dog to make Hirutani fall off. Yugi says that Janochi hasn't changed at all. Janochi has developed a new yo-yo technique, loop in the sky, which accidentally raises Anzu and Miho's skirts and ties him up. Anzu then gets angry and calls him scum. Yu-Gi-Oh! First Series, Episode 011. Published by Yu-Gi-Oh! Wiki, Fandom. Yugi's capsule monster chess-obsessed friend, Warashibe tries to win the affection of Miho Nosaka. After Miho spurns his advances, Warashibe decides to eliminate his competition for her affection and faces Yugi in a game of capsule monster chess. The group learn about the game Capsule Monster Chess, or Capmon for short, when Miho Nosaka obtains a gacha box, a capsule container, whose capsules are filled with jewelry of Miho's fancy. Miho then reveals it was Warashibe, a college student whom she met just recently, that sent it as a present to her. While Yugi briefly explains Capmon to others, Miho expresses her joy of the present, much to Hiroto Honda's protest. Soon after, Yugi meets up with Warashibe, with whom he has been a friend for some time now due to their common interest in Capmon, a Capmon buddy, as Warashibe puts it, and informs him on Miho's reaction on the present. The whole thing revealed to have been Yugi's idea in the first place. Warashibe reveals his obsession for Miho, explaining how he saw her briefly through a show window while obtaining new Capmon capsules. Ever since, Warashibe has been convinced the two were fated to be together, and keeps referring to Miho as his Capmon goddess, and he is dedicated to win her heart, much to Yugi's dislike of his extreme reaction. Later that evening, Miho visits Yugi's grandfather's shop and obtains a minor Capmon capsule, intending to send it to Warashibe as a token of gratitude for the present, thinking of Warashibe as a pen pal. However, Warashibe misinterprets the message as a love confession and leads Yugi to his secret base filled with rare level 4 and 5 Capmon on the next day. He asks Yugi for his help in order to meet Miho in the most romantic way he can imagine, but Yugi, initially shocked by the idea, tries to refuse, yet Warashibe's baby cry soon convinces him otherwise. Yugi and Warashibe then try executing the plan for him to meet Miho, which consisted of Yugi putting on a ridiculous disguise and pretending to be assaulting Miho, allowing Warashibe to save her, which fails miserably due to Miho seeing through Yugi's disguise and repeatedly striking Warashibe with her purse, because he was being too direct in his confession. Miho runs away crying out loudly how she does not know anything about Capmon, leaving Warashibe beaten and heartbroken. Due to the rejection, he later schemes at his base and wonders what he did wrong, eventually concluding there must be a reason why she refused him, and sets out to eliminate it. The next day, Warashibe disguises himself as a member of the kitchen staff in Domino High School cafeteria, and after concluding Miho rejected him because Katsuya Janochi, Hiroto Honda and Anzu Mizaki were in the way, decides to eliminate them by offering them glasses of poisoned water. As a result, all three end up hospitalized in the nursery with a bad stomachache, with only Yugi and Miho remaining healthy. Miho receives a letter from Warashibe, who claims to have brought judgment upon those who interfere with their fate. This infuriates Miho, who immediately asks Yugi to lead her to Warashibe's place. At the start of the game, both Miho and Warashibe take turns in drawing capsules from a dispenser. Miho ends up with a poor set, consisting of 3 level 1, a level 2 and a level 4 monster, while Warashibe's gets a set of high-level monsters, including 3 level 4 and 2 level 5 monsters. Despite claiming to have studied the rules of Capmon, Miho ends up pushed in a corner and Warashibe easily takes out one of her monsters on the first turn. Angry with the resulting table, Miho yells at Warashibe and accidentally pushes Yugi into the capsule dispenser, which tips over and breaks. This exposes a hidden device that Warashibe had installed to alternate between high and low-level capsules, which had resulted in him getting much stronger capsules than Miho. Realizing that Warashibe cheated, Miho declares herself winner and tries to leave with Yugi. Warashibe attempts to block their exit by dropping a portcullis. However, the mechanism malfunctions and instead results in a large beam dropped on Miho and Yugi. As the dust settles, Dark Yugi emerges with Miho in his arms, much to Warashibe's surprise. Dark Yugi challenges Warashibe to a game of darkness. Claiming to have won the match, Warashibe is then asked to look at the field, and he realizes all his monsters were aligned in a diagonal pattern, which is what Dark Yugi was counting on. His last remaining monster is Toraigun, who despite his otherwise low rank and limited battle qualities, possesses a special skill that goes in Dark Yugi's favor. It can move and attack in a diagonal pattern, and destroy any monster it comes across, even if it's a level 5. With this move, Toraigun destroys all of Warashibe's remaining 4 monsters, winning the game for Dark Yugi. Warashibe is shocked by the outcome, with Dark Yugi telling him how Capmon is not something to be collected, but played with, and know how to win using every monster's ability. Warashibe becomes struck with rage, and after flipping the table in frenzy, he still demands for Miho to become his, for which Dark Yugi inflicts a penalty game on him, capturing him inside a massive monster capsule, before leaving with Miho. After Yugi and Miho's friends recover from their poisoning, they discuss how it is better now with Warashibe off the scene. While Janochi complains that he never wants to hear about Capmon again, Miho comes cheerfully running. She trips and falls, revealing her purse was full of Capmon. Yu-Gi-Oh! First Series, Episode 012. Published by Yu-Gi-Oh! Wiki, Fandom. Ryuichi, who is the unbeaten champion of a TV game show and considers himself to be the luckiest man in the world, comes to Domino High School under the command of Seto Kaiba to try to make the other Yugi appear. Ryuichi decides that he either has to cause Yugi severe pain or else peel off his skin in order to bring out the other Yugi. However, when Janochi takes Yugi's place in the 9th game show that Ryuichi wins with ease, it is then that Dark Yugi emerges to face Ryuichi. Later, the other Yugi challenges Fuwa to a game of electrical pairs in which a player must give all the pairs he has to the opposing player when he gets a joker, and if he fails to get a pair he will receive an electric shock, the same game that Ryuichi and Janochi played. Ryuichi's luck gives him the edge, while Dark Yugi continues to choose the same pairs of cards each time. When the power cuts out, Unbeknownst to Ryuichi, the order of the cards is scrambled, but instead of trusting his luck, Ryuichi picks the cards that he thought were in the same place, only to get the joker and lose. Afterwards, Ryuichi's luck abandons him during his 10th game show and he loses despite only needing to get a 3 or higher to win. Yu-Gi-Oh! First Series, Episode 014. Published by Yu-Gi-Oh! Wiki, Fandom. When Anzu realizes that Yugi is her mysterious crush, she invites him on a date to an amusement park, intending to put herself in danger so that she can see Dark Yugi. However, she finds herself in real danger when the continuous bomber challenges Dark Yugi to a twisted game of balloons and bombs. Dark Yugi is able to defeat the Mad Bomber and rescue Anzu. Anzu is finally saved and she thanks Dark Yugi, saying that she and Dark Yugi should continue their date. All known recordings of this episode have visual glitches during the Game of Darkness with the continuous bomber, most notably whenever a gondola is blown up and when Dark Yugi subjects the bomber to a penalty game. Yu-Gi-Oh! First Series, Episode 015. Published by Yu-Gi-Oh! Wiki, Fandom. The Witch's Oculaire. At night, in an old, dark and creepy mansion, 3 girls with cloaks on themselves throw ingredients in a cauldron and recite a chant, based on Macbeth's poem. A bolt of lightning clashes as they say their words. Came game. The next day, Yugi is excited that his grandfather, Sugoroku, received packs of magic and wizards cards. Sugoroku says the card is getting really popular. Shops all over the place are selling out of them. Anzu, who is with Yugi, tells him that she is also learning duel monsters. Grandpa decides to give Yugi and Anzu each a pack of cards as a present. Yugi and Anzu get all excited over the new pack. As they open their packs, a customer walks in the store. Yugi sighs because he already owns the cards from his pack. However, Anzu points out a particular card that interests her and she shows it to Yugi. Yugi recognizes it as Violet Hecate. Judging by Yugi's reaction, Anzu asks if it is rare and he says it is extremely rare because it's one of the 3 witch sisters. It is extremely hard to find those cards. Grandpa has never seen such a card before. Anzu decides to give it to Yugi because she thinks that card would be more useful with him. Yugi gladly accepts the gift from Anzu and jumps in happiness. Anzu notices that it's the same kiddish Yugi as always. She wonders where the other Yugi went, the one that saved her? Yugi thanks Anzu for the card. Suddenly, Grandpa notices that the customer that entered the store is missing. He wonders where the customer went. Love letter. At school, Yugi shows the card to his friends. Janochi cannot believe such a card exists, and Miho wants one for herself. They are all interested in learning about duel monsters, so Yugi decides to play a game with them. As Yugi reaches for his shoes from his locker, a love letter falls out. Janochi and Honda both dive for it. They fight over the love letter while Anzu gets angry, and the letter falls in Miho's hands. She notices that Yugi's name is written on it. Yugi is surprised that it's for him. In the classroom, Yugi sulks in his desk as Yonochi and Honda demand to see the letter. They grab the letter from Yugi's hands and fight over it again. Anzu gets frustrated and yells at them. The two stop fighting and hand over the letter to Anzu. She reads it out loud. The letter states that author of the letter has feelings for Yugi and she wants to meet up with him just once at Domino Park. It's signed by Riza Kageyama. Miho thinks Yugi is popular with the girls, but Yugi doesn't think so. He doesn't even know who the person is. Janochi and Honda think Kageyama Riza is a very unattractive girl. Honda describes her as Frankenstein-like, and says all girls with kana in their names are like that. Miho realizes that her name has that and she walks away. Realizing what he has done, Honda runs after her. Anzu asks Yugi what he's going to do. Honda tells Yugi to be kind to her. Yonochi notices that he and Honda are getting along for once. They both laugh. First encounter. In the end, Yugi decides to go and he sits on a bench and waits for Riza to show up. Meanwhile, Yonochi, Honda, Anzu and Miho have also went to Domino Park to spy on Yugi and Riza. Anzu can't believe Yonochi and Honda decided to come after they bad-mouthed her. Suddenly, she feels a very strange feeling, a feeling that irritates her. At last Riza shows up. Anzu notices from the different uniform that Riza comes from Black Rose Girls Academy, a rich girls' school. Riza, who is extremely attractive, walks up to Yugi. Yugi blushes as he stares at Riza's face. Riza hands Yugi a present, something she knitted. Yugi thanks her for the gift and Riza tells him she had to talk to him, then she notices Yugi's Millennium Puzzle. Riza tries to touch it, but when she does she quickly turns away with an evil look in her eyes. Yugi asks what's wrong, Riza says it's nothing. She decides to go home and runs away. Yonochi, Honda, Anzu and Miho fall out of their hiding place. Miho gazes at the gift that Riza knitted, which is a summer vest. It's even hand-knitted, so lots of love must have been put into it. Yonochi and Honda stand in front of Yugi and state they're sorry. Since they lost their confidence they decide to go home to rethink life. Anzu asks Yugi what he's going to do. Riza seems pretty serious about the whole thing. She wonders if Yugi plans on dating her. Yugi doesn't know, he only met Riza for the first time. Anzu assumes Yugi will turn her down and she stands proudly, saying that's something Yugi would do. Miho wonders if Anzu is jealous. Anzu yells at Miho about how she's only worried as a friend. Second encounter. At night, Yugi plays a game of Duel Monsters with Grandpa. Grandpa has just summoned the Dark Dragon, which turns the tables for Yugi. However, Yugi isn't paying attention. Grandpa notices this and wonders what's up. Suddenly, in the middle of the game, their phone rings. Yugi answers it. On the other line is Riza. Riza is glad that Yugi remembered her and she asks if they can meet again the next day at the same place. Yugi agrees. This time he plans to call it off with Riza. The next day, Yugi and Riza meet up at Domino Park. Riza hands over hand-knitted socks to him. Yugi stares at them and then decides not to accept them. He asks Riza why she sent him the love letter. Riza replies that she knows Yugi's home is a game shop. Well, she went there once and when she saw Yugi she instantly fell in love. Yugi finally comes to an understanding. Riza begins to walk away, but Yugi tells her that she's very pretty. While Riza has her back turned to Yugi, her eyes are evil. She then turns towards Yugi with normal eyes and gives him the socks, hoping they can meet again. Yugi blushes. Keeping the secret. At class, Yugi lies to his friends by saying he hasn't seen Riza since the first time they met. Yonochi, Honda and Miho are sad by that since they were cheering Yugi on. Yugi notices Anzu hasn't said a word. He secretly apologizes to her, knowing that he lied and he decided that next time he'll do the properly. On the way home from school, Yonochi suggests they go somewhere nice on their next day off. Yugi sees Riza hiding behind a tree. Knowing that he must meet up with her, Yugi announces that he has some important business to take care of. Yonochi says goodbye to Yugi, and he runs off to her. However, Anzu remains suspicious. Yugi and Riza walk together. A limousine pulls up at a distance. Kaiba walks out and notices Yugi with Riza. Kaiba has a bad feeling about Riza. Yugi's illness. Anzu knows that Riza isn't good for Yugi and he isn't capable of turning her down. She angrily decides to head to Yugi's home to get things straightened out with him. When she gets there, Grandpa tells her that Yugi is sick. However, Anzu decides to see him anyway. She runs up to Yugi's room and opens the door. There, she sees Yugi lying in bed with Riza right by his side. Anzu demands to know why she's there. Riza insists that she be quiet because Yugi is sleeping. She mentions that the house doesn't have any medicine. So Anzu runs off to the pharmacy to get some. As she turns the corner, the evil Riza pops out from behind the corner. Anzu comes back with the medicine, but Riza is already there with some. Anzu wonders how she got the medicine so quickly. In the room is also Jonochi. He met up with Riza at the pharmacy and decided to check on Yugi himself too. Yugi insists that he's fine. Suddenly, Riza notices that she's out of ice so Anzu runs off again to buy some and runs back with some ice, wondering what's up with Riza. When she gets to Yugi's room, Riza already has some. Yugi tells Anzu to just sit back and relax. Honda is also in the room. He explains that he ran into Riza when she was looking for some ice. The ice was heavy, so Honda decided to carry it for her. Anzu asks Yugi if he likes mandarins. He says yes, so Anzu decides to go to the store again and get some. She throws her bag of ice at Honda and runs out the door. When Anzu arrives at the supermarket, she takes the escalator down. However, the evil Riza is on the escalator that's going up. She pushes Anzu hard and Anzu falls to the bottom of the escalator. Anzu looks up and sees Riza running away. When Anzu runs into Yugi's room again, she demands to know what Riza was trying to do. Jonochi asks what's wrong. Anzu accuses Riza of pushing her down the escalator. Jonochi and Honda don't know what Anzu is talking about. Riza has been in the room the whole time. Anzu doesn't understand. She asks Yugi for confirmation, and Yugi says Riza never left the room. Riza says not to worry about it, her face is common that it can be seen everywhere. Anzu wonders if she wasn't seeing things correctly, but she was sure it was Riza. Riza stands up and states she's going home. Jonochi and Honda are disappointed she's leaving so soon. Riza asks Yugi for a favor. She wants to keep something that belongs to Yugi so that she can always remember him. Suddenly, Riza sees Yugi's dual monster cards. She particularly likes the Violet Hecate card and asks to keep it. Yugi tells her that that's the only card that's off limits because he received it from someone very important to him. Anzu knows it's her. Yugi offers her any of his other cards, but Riza declines. She decides to head off without anything. Jonochi and Honda blame him for making Riza sad. Anzu yells at them, as Yugi quietly apologizes to Riza. The Kageyama sisters. As the sun begins to set, Yonochi, Honda and Anzu take their leave. Yugi thanks them for their support. Yonochi and Honda tell Yugi to get some rest since it's important to recover from a cold. Anzu yells at Yugi to hurry up and get back to bed. He says his temperature has gone down, but Anzu refuses to accept that. Honda whispers to Yonochi that Anzu is like an overprotective wife. As Yugi walks through the door, he thanks Anzu for her support. As Yugi walks up the stairs to his room, he hears something. Inside Yugi's room is the evil Riza, who is frantically looking for the Violet Hecate card. Yugi turns on the light and sees Riza with her evil eyes. She grabs Yugi and tells him to hand over the card. As Riza takes Yugi to the ground, an object flies out Yugi's window, breaking the window's glass. Yonochi, Honda and Anzu see this and think something is wrong. They rush up to Yugi's room and see Riza pinning Yugi to the floor. Yonochi, Honda and Anzu are surprised to see this. Yugi takes his Millennium Puzzle and swings it at Riza, breaking free from her grip. Anzu knows that Riza was after that card from the very beginning. Yugi can't believe Riza would do something like this. Riza takes out her whip and flings it at them. The group runs out of the room just in time. Riza smiles, knowing that they can't run. Honda opens the door to outside, but Riza jumps down and blocks the exit. Screaming in horror, Honda immediately shuts the door, and the group finds another way out. However, Riza also blocks that way too. Yonochi tackles Riza to the ground, while Yugi and Anzu escape. Unfortunately, Yonochi can't hold down Riza for very long, as she whips him and breaks free. Meanwhile, Yugi and Anzu run down the streets. They soon face Riza again, but this time there are 3 Rises, and they have Yugi and Anzu surrounded. One of the Rises uses her whip to snatch Yugi's Millennium Puzzle away from him. She challenges Yugi to a duel with the Millennium Puzzle and the Violet Hecate card at stake. Yugi knows he has no choice, so he accepts the challenge. They all head down to the huge mansion where the Kageyama sisters live. One of them explains the rules. Yugi Muto versus the Kageyama sisters. Yugi's turn. Yugi has Rock Gun, Sleeping Worm, Ghost Clock card, and Mushroom Man in his hand. He summons Sleeping Worm in defense position. Kageyama sisters' turn. The Kageyama sisters summon Red Hecate in attack position. Red Hecate attacks and destroys Sleeping Worm. Yugi's turn. Yugi activates Clock card to revive Sleeping Worm and turn it into Iron Beetle. Kageyama sisters' turn. The Kageyama sisters summon Yellow Hecate and attack Iron Beetle with the Hecate sisters. Kaiba arrives and takes Yugi's place. He allows the Kageyama sisters to put the Violet Hecate card in their deck. Kaiba's turn. Kageyama sisters' turn. The Hecate sisters attack and destroy Cyclops. Kaiba's turn. Kaiba's turn. Kaiba draws and summons another Blue Eyes. Both Blue Eyes attack and destroy Gorgon. Kaiba wins. Yu-Gi-Oh! First Series, Episode 019. Published by Yu-Gi-Oh! Wiki, Fandom. With Hiroto Honda's support, Miho Nosaka enters a popularity contest against arrogant school beauty Kaoruko Himikoji. Soon Kaoruko resorts to cheating, but when she hurts Miho, she incurs the wrath of Dark Yugi. Ryo Bakura and Makuba Kaiba each have a brief appearance in this episode. Yu-Gi-Oh! First Series, Episode 020. Published by Yu-Gi-Oh! Wiki, Fandom. Stasis. The episode begins with Daimon in stasis, remembering the times he had playing with and teaching a young Seto Kaiba. It is seen as him teaching Kaiba to use bitter feelings over losing as motivation for winning, having beaten Kaiba at most games if not every. Then soon, it is seen that Kaiba beats Daimon in a game using standard playing cards, where Kaiba gets a full house, opposed to Daimon's 3 queens. The young Kaiba jumps up and down in excitement that he finally beat Daimon in a game. Daimon nods at Kaiba with pride. The scene later turns to Daimon pushing the young Kaiba on a swing, telling him to go higher and higher, that he's someone who needs to rise to the sky. Kaiba swings happily. Daimon smiles in his stasis and says that same phrase again, higher and higher. Kaiba and Makuba. Makuba Kaiba is talking to Kaiba, while fingering character eggs from Capsule Monster chess in his hands. He mentions what a pity it is, all of their game masters having been beaten by Yugi, referring to Ridley Sheldon, Aileen Rao and Ryuichi Fuha. Makuba then inquires as to what Kaiba plans to do, with Kaiba Corporation having a duel with their rival, Omega Town, and the contents of their upcoming games on the line if they lose. He says it is an important duel and he wants to know what Kaiba has planned. On top of that, their father is returning, apparently with a grudge against Kaiba. Kaiba says he already has something planned, but he tells Makuba it is not important. What is more important is the duel with Omega Town. He refers to the competition as a game of secrets, or otherwise, an honorable game of darkness between companies. Kaiba Corporation cannot lose. Makuba asks if he should go, but Seto reassures him not to, and that he still has a final warrior at his disposal, his strongest and most powerful player. Daimon returns. The scene shifts to a laboratory somewhere, specifically where Daimon is in stasis. 2 scientists report his artificial heart and lungs are functioning properly. Kaiba nods and tells them to insert the gel. The strange liquid flows through the tubes and into Daimon. When they stop, Kaiba commands that they open the stasis, to which Daimon's eyes fly open. He sits up and sees Kaiba and calls him by the name he called him when he was a kid, but quickly takes it back and calls him Kaiba-sama. Kaiba smiles and says there is work to do. Yugi and company. It is seen later at a store of sorts that Yugi and friends are shopping. Anzu Mizaki and Miho Nosaka look at clothing while Hiroto Honda tries making poetic comments about Miho's choices. Yugi sits in a corner and does not say much, but that Anzu should get what she thinks is good. Katsuya Janochi jokes that Honda's compliments are just getting more and more random. Kaiba Corp. Versus Omega Town and afterwards. At the game between Kaiba Corporation and Omega Town, they put up discs with their company's secrets on the line in a Duel Monsters game. The Omega Town duelist asks if it is really okay for an older man like Daimon to be his opponent, claiming he might die halfway through, but Daimon tells him that experience and wisdom is key to outwitting your foe. Makuba thinks to himself that Daimon can only live for 3 hours at a time outside of his stasis, but he agrees with himself that it would be enough time. Yugi and Anzu are seen walking back from the store, mentioning how much they have bought. Anzu offers to take Yugi to an amusement park with her for coming, to which he gladly accepts. At the same time, Daimon is escorted to a limo by Makuba. He asks why Seto did not come and Makuba tells him he was planning to meet with their father. Daimon stammers in surprise that their father was returning, and Makuba confirms it, saying he is coming back from Europe. Makuba quickly runs to the driver and tells him to hurry and take Daimon to the hospital. As Anzu and Yugi are walking home, Yugi stops in amazement and sees a Duel Monster store, a Blue Eyes White Dragon and Battle Ox advertisement by the door. He smiles and runs across the street to check it out. As he does so, Daimon's limo makes a sharp turn from around the corner and nearly hits Yugi. Anzu screams for him to watch out as they both swerve away. Anzu runs to Yugi to see if he is okay, but they look at the limo and see Daimon's limp arm dangling from the backseat. The hospital. Yugi and Anzu go to the hospital to see if Daimon will be okay. Yugi gets worked up and starts to wonder what to do, blaming himself. Anzu says nothing. A doctor comes in and Yugi and Anzu jump from the bedside, asking if the doctor can save Daimon. The doctor says there is only so much he can do, but that Daimon is already dead. To Yugi's reassurance, the doctor says it was not from the accident. He claims Daimon should have been dead years ago, as he found many mechanical implants to keep him alive. The doctor theorizes that he must have been kept alive via a leading-edge science facility. Daimon then opens his eyes and asks if that makes him like a zombie. Yugi begins to say he is sorry, but Daimon dismisses it, saying he should have been dead long ago, but more importantly that Yugi likes playing games, seeing Yugi's Duel Monsters deck in his shirt pocket. Daimon pulls out his own and asks if Yugi will be his opponent. They shuffle each other's decks and prepare to begin. Daimon claims that games are what he lives for, that they give his older self energy. While playing, Daimon notices passion and happiness in Yugi's eyes. He remembers how much Kaiba used to be like this when he was a younger kid, always enjoying games. He defeats Yugi easily, telling Yugi that he is a little too straightforward in his game, saying he knows this from years of experience. Yugi and Anzu offer him some oranges, a snack Kaiba used to offer to Daimon when he was a child. Daimon sees flashbacks of those happy moments. Just then, Kaiba barges into the room to get to Daimon. Yugi and Kaiba lock eyes in shock to see each other again. Kaiba orders his men to escort Daimon to his medical center as soon as possible. Kaiba is surprised that it was Yugi who ran in front of his limo but accepts it. Yugi then inquires as to how Kaiba knows Daimon and is told that Daimon taught Kaiba the basics of gaming when he was little. He begins to leave Yugi and Anzu, lastly telling them they should be honored to have dueled Daimon. The other Kaiba and Daimon's choice. Makuba greets his father as his helicopter lands. When he asks where Seto is, Makuba says he is in the meeting room. His father, Gozaburo Kaiba, sits at the end of the table, across from Seto. He makes remarks about how naive Seto was to go past a budget, saying he was too young for the company to be his. Seto snaps his fingers and all of the other businessmen in the room stand behind him. It has become his company, not Gozaburo's. When his father tries to figure things out, Kaiba recites his father's favorite catchphrase, "Those that lose at the game of life have no right to live." Kaiba's father looks out the window and faints, presumably death. Daimon strolls into the room via wheelchair. Seto asks why he is here and not in the medical center, to which Daimon responds that he wished to pay his respects to Gozaburo. Kaiba then tells Daimon to do a task for him, defeating Dark Yugi in a duel. At the medical center, Daimon tries to contemplate whether or not to fight Yugi. He remembered the kind smile Yugi had, how it was similar to Kaiba when he was young, but finally decides that he is an enemy. He is released from his stasis and gets put into a new wheelchair made by Kaiba. Monster House Duel. Yugi and Anzu are going through the amusement park when Yugi wants to go to the monster house. Anzu thinks to herself how much of a kid Yugi is and wonders when she will be able to see the cool Yugi again. As they enter, Anzu is grabbed and lifted by a mechanical dragon, hoping Yugi will save her. Yugi is lifted by a platform to face Daimon in a game. Seeing Anzu in distress, Yugi becomes Dark Yugi. Daimon notices how Yugi's presence has changed but prepares to fight. Daimon proves to be a challenging opponent. As they duel, Daimon tells about how he still hopes Seto can be changed to that same fun kid like Yugi was. When he starts to falter and faces fatigue, Kaiba's wheelchair injects him with a liquid that stimulates him and hides the pain. Daimon then has his monsters defeated again and again, only to summon his zombie master, who gains their power. After relentless attacks at Yugi, Dark Yugi revives his Fairy Olfair to use its power against Daimon. He then says that Daimon may be able to read people's hearts, but not the card's hearts. Daimon is defeated and collapses to the floor and Anzu is freed. Dark Yugi goes to see if he is okay, saying he was honored to have fought him. As he does so, Daimon tells Yugi he wants him to retrieve Kaiba's lost kind heart. He collapses, but it is not specified if died or simply passed out. Kaiba later leaves via his limo. He then thinks to himself that he will be Yugi's next opponent. Yugi Muto vs Daimon. There is no life points count for either duelist. Daimon's turn. Daimon summons Sleeping Worm in attack position. Dark Yugi's turn. Yugi Muto summons Dark Mammoth in attack position. Daimon's turn. Daimon's turn is not shown. Yugi's turn. Yugi draws white. He summons Black Scorpion in attack position. Daimon's turn. Daimon summons Gargoyle in attack position. The rest of the duel is not shown, but Daimon wins. Dark Yugi vs Daimon. There is no life points count for either duelist. Daimon's turn. Daimon sets a card and summons Skullbat in attack position. Dark Yugi's turn. Dark Yugi summons King Rex in attack position and attacks Skullbat. Daimon activates his face-down card, Golgotha's Punishment, which immobilizes King Rex and reduces its ATK by at least 500. Daimon's turn. Daimon attacks and destroys King Rex with Skullbat. Dark Yugi's turn. Dark Yugi summons Big Tree in defense position and sets a card. Daimon's turn. Daimon summons Bloody Zombie and attempts to attack Big Tree. Dark Yugi's turn. Dark Yugi activates his face-down card, Miraculous Water, which destroys Bloody Zombie, and powers up Big Tree, 400, 900, ATK, which releases seeds which trap and destroy Skullbat. Daimon's turn. Daimon summons Golden Pegasus in attack position. Dark Yugi's turn. Dark Yugi summons Devil Dragon in attack position. It attacks and destroys Golden Pegasus. Daimon's turn. Daimon summons Fairy Olfair in attack position. Dark Yugi's turn. Dark Yugi attacks and destroys Fairy Olfair with Devil Dragon. Daimon's turn. Daimon summons Demonimist in attack position. Dark Yugi's turn. Dark Yugi attacks and destroys Demonimist with Devil Dragon. Daimon's turn. Daimon summons Zombie Master in attack position. It gains an unspecified amount of ATK for each of Daimon's destroyed monsters, but apparently it is enough to destroy a 1700 ATK monster, as well as the ability to attack as many times as the number of destroyed monsters. Zombie Master attacks and destroys Devil Dragon. Several turns pass. Apparently, Dark Yugi has summoned King Beetle, Dark Mammoth, and Mushroom Man. Daimon's turn. Zombie Master destroyed Yugi's 3 monsters at once. Dark Yugi's turn. Dark Yugi draws Flute of Light. He activates Revive the Dead, and revives Daimon's Fairy Olfear onto his field, which causes Zombie Master to lose power. Yugi then equips Fairy Olfear with Flute of Light, which raises its ATK to a value exceeding Zombie Master. Fairy Olfear attacks and destroys Zombie Master. Dark Yugi wins. Yu-Gi-Oh! First Series, Episode 023. Published by Yu-Gi-Oh! Wiki, Fandom. Just before this game begins, Makuba has an argument with his brother, because he thinks that Makuba will lose to Yugi. When the battle starts, Makuba has a set of powerful Kapumon, while Yugi having a bunch of low-leveled monsters, revealing the Kapumat was fixed to gives them either high or low-level monsters. As the battle continues, Makuba's monsters charge in on Yugi's, while Yugi keeps skipping his own turn, eventually surrounding them. Using strategy, Yugi eventually manages to get one of his Kapumon to an evolution tile, thus making it more powerful, and taking down nearly all of Makuba's monsters, but loses this monster, and finally manages to pull through by using his final monster to defeat Makuba's final monster. Yu-Gi-Oh! First Series, Episode 024. Published by Yu-Gi-Oh! Wiki, Fandom. Dark Yugi's turn. Kaiba's turn. Seto Kaiba blocks it by summoning Hitotsumi Giant in attack position. Dark Yugi's turn. Dark Yugi attacks and destroys Hitotsumi Giant with Winged Dragon, Guardian of the Fortress, Kaiba, 2,800 life points. Kaiba's turn. Kaiba draws and summons the Wicked Worm Beast in attack position and attacks Winged Dragon, Guardian of the Fortress. The Wicked Worm Beast is destroyed, but Kaiba takes no damage because they had the same ATK. Dark Yugi's turn. Dark Yugi's turn is not shown. Kaiba's turn. Dark Yugi's turn. Kaiba's turn. Kaiba flip summons Sagi the Dark Clown, and activates Dark Energy to triple its ATK, Sagi, 600, 1,800, ATK. Sagi attacks and destroys Winged Dragon, Guardian of the Fortress, Dark Yugi, 2,600 life points. Dark Yugi's turn. Kaiba's turn. Sagi the Dark Clown attacks and destroys both Chimera and Kumori Dragon. Dark Yugi, 1,600, 1,400 life points. Dark Yugi's turn. Dark Yugi draws and summons Gaia the Fierce Knight in attack position. Dark Knight Gaia attacks and destroys Dark Clown Sagi, Kaiba, 1,800, 1,300 life points. Kaiba's turn. Dark Yugi's turn. Dark Yugi sets a monster. Kaiba's turn. Blue Eyes White Dragon attacks and destroys the set monster. Dark Yugi's turn. Kaiba's turn. Kaiba draws and summons another Blue Eyes White Dragon in attack position. Dark Yugi's turn. Kaiba's turn. Kaiba sets a monster. Dark Yugi's turn. Dark Yugi has right leg of the Forbidden One, left arm of the Forbidden One, left leg of the Forbidden One, and Dark Mammoth in his hand. Dark Yugi draws right arm of the Forbidden One. Kaiba's turn. The effect of Sealing Swords of Light ends. Kaiba draws and summons his last, Blue Eyes White Dragon. Dark Yugi's turn. Dark Yugi draws Exodia the Forbidden One. Exodia is summoned and destroys every monster Kaiba controls, and drops his life points to 0. Kaiba, 1300 life points. Dark Yugi wins. Yu-Gi-Oh! First Series, Episode 025. Published by Yu-Gi-Oh! Wiki, Fandom. Yugi and his friends meet Ryo Bakura, a gentle new student with an interest in role-playing games. Little do they know the danger that dwells within him. Bakura's Millennium Ring contains an evil spirit whose main goal is to collect all of the Millennium items. He also extracts people's souls and traps them inside miniature figurines. One day, Yugi and his friends come to Bakura's house so they can play Monster World together. They are welcomed by Dark Bakura, who traps Yugi and his friends inside a shadow game so he can steal Yugi's Millennium Puzzle. However, Dark Yugi emerges to challenge him. Yu-Gi-Oh! First Series, Episode 026. Published by Yu-Gi-Oh! Wiki, Fandom. Dark Yugi aids Yugi and his friends, who have had their souls trapped inside Bakura's figurines, against Dark Bakura and his Monster World avatar, Dark Master Zork. Dark Yugi and Yugi see each other for the first time. Yugi's friends are surprised to see that there are two Yugis, but they don't mind. They continue the game and after many trials, they finally confront Zork. The last dice roll in this episode shows the red die with an 8 and the white die with a 0. Since the red die is the tens, this would mean the number rolled is 80, but the characters announce that it is a critical, meaning the number is mistakenly seen as 08. Yu-Gi-Oh! First Series, Episode 027. Published by Yu-Gi-Oh! Wiki, Fandom. Even when seemingly defeated, Dark Master Zork rises again and threatens to overwhelm the gang. It is up to Bakura to defeat his evil counterpart with help from Dark Yugi. Eventually, Bakura is able to destroy Dark Bakura's possessed dice, with Yugi and his friends saving him from death, allowing the gang to win the shadow game. Afterwards, their souls are freed from the Monster World figurines.